Welcome, folks, to Splash Studios Take and Make Projects Wood Sign Edition. Guys, my name is Mark, and it is my honor, my privilege, and frankly my pleasure to be your artist today. I'll be walking you guys through this thing step by step. Come along with me for the ride, and we will end up with a pretty nice looking wood board at the end of the day. Before we get started, guys, I'm just going to take you through some stuff we got here for you. First off, wood. Hey, you can't make a good wood sign without one, in my opinion. We also have a couple little tools there for you. We'll be using those later. Of course, we have a bunch of paint, a cup of water there, probably a brush as well, I assume. And then last, but certainly not least, we're talking a stencil. The stencil we have for you today is it's a pretty goofy one. It is Easter themed, spring themed. It's got a bunny on it, and it's got a little bit of a hip hop kick. So, with all that being said, the first thing we need to do is we need to prep our board. We need to get some paint on it, whichever color you like. I might go with white paint, and I'm just going to cover the entire thing. Again, I'm personally using white. You guys can choose what you like. Nothing too crazy about it, folks. As you can see, we're going into fast mode here, and I am just painting the whole board white. Really, there is nothing like watching paint dry, and you're right here watching it with me. Once again, folks, just painting the entire board with a nice, easy coat. I tell you what, you can put it on thicker or thinner depending on what you want the finish to be. If you want some of that wood grain showing through, put it on thinner, use a little bit of water. If you want it to be really sort of glossy and acrylic, really lay it on thick, maybe do a couple layers. Acrylic paint takes about 5 to 10 minutes to dry, so just make sure it's roughly dry to the touch before moving on to the next step. And hey, there you have it. A wood board painted white, not bad. We're gonna let that dry, and in the meantime, we're gonna go ahead and weed our stencil out. What does that mean, weeding a stencil out? Well, you're one by one taking all the elements of the design out of the stencil itself. You can see the sort of words that are inside of the rectangular boxes. I'm removing the rectangle itself as well as the inside of each letter. And the sort of chunkier 3D looking words, I'm taking out sort of the bevel area as well as the inside areas as well. Again, one by one, just kind of making your way through all of it. You can see I've zoomed in to give you guys a closer look to what I'm doing. You're taking the bunny out as well. You're taking the flowers out as well. Pretty simple stuff. The last kind of major thing is you're kind of removing the border box around the entire design. All this is trash. You can throw it away as you like. Now, my board here is just about dry. We're going to go back to not zoomed in mode, and I'm going to show you guys how to apply this stencil to your board. Got a big old piece of tape there, transfer tape. I'm going to very slowly lower it down, kind of holding it from either side, letting it bend in the middle, you can see, kind of like a U shape. Letting it touch down very gradually, very slowly as I go there. There you go, hitting the center and letting it fly on either end very nice and easy. Hey, voila. I'm then going to go ahead and grab a credit card, a flat little piece of plastic, whatever you got on you, and I'm just going to smooth out any sort of air bubbles on there. I'm going to get the tape nice and tight to the stencil, really just kind of running the whole thing over a whole bunch of times. You can see me do this in fast motion too. Here we go. There we go. Once again, folks, just really getting it nice and smooth, getting all the air bubbles out there. Once it's attached nice and tight, we can come back and we can start prepping this thing on the board. So I like to take the whole thing and flip it upside down, flip it over to the opposite side. I'm then going to peel off the backing here. You can see it's almost like a light blue color. Peel off the whole back. Yeah, there it is. Almost like it's a big sticker. There you go. Making sure you're not losing any little bits of the stencil itself as you go. You're just going to peel off that big piece of paper. Oh, very gradually, very slowly. Look at it go, getting the bunny in there too. And once you're finished, that piece of paper is trash, you can just, oh, I don't know, crumple it up and throw it to the side, for instance. Hey, look at that. So once again, folks, now you have the stencil attached to the big piece of tape, and you're just gonna very, very specifically, very gently lower it onto your board until it's just perfect. I'm gonna try this maybe 2 or 3 times until I feel confident. And once I am confident, I'm gonna let go and kind of let the sticker rest on the board itself. See, second guessing myself there, but that's okay. Hey, flattening it out with my hands. Okay, getting it nice and tight on the board, making sure all the air bubbles are out of there. I like to even come back in with a piece of plastic, like a credit card or something, and just run it over a whole bunch of times. We can do it in fast motion. There it goes. Getting all those air bubbles out, making sure that the sticker is really nice and tight connected to the board. Hey, look at that, huh? So, the stencil's adhered to the board. We're just going to peel off the tape, leaving just the stencil attached to the board. I'll spare you guys all the juicy details here, but again, just slowly making sure none of the little bits of information like those whiskers get peeled off as you go along. Let's skip ahead here and show the finished product, and boom, there it is. So now that we have this guy all assembled, we can go ahead and start filling this thing in with some paint. We can use any colors we so choose. I thought, you know, it's kind of springtime. I might use some sort of pastel stuff. The one thing I want to get across though is you don't want to use any water during this step. Water can kind of bleed under the stencil sometimes, and that's no good. So just make sure your brush is nice and dry before proceeding, and don't use any more water as you go along. So as I was saying previously, you know, some pastel colors, maybe some springtime stuff. I might start with like kind of a springy green color, see how that looks, and you know, kind of continue on that way. Again, sort of very loosely, very lightly coating these letters. I'm using my largest brush, but you guys are welcome to use a smaller one if that's more your speed. You're filling in these letters, again, not using much water at all, just the paint and the brush, and again, working your way through it. Color is up to you. Let's go ahead and speed things up here. And there you go. So folks, one thing you can do, and you'll kind of see me doing this in the video shortly here, is you can use a little bit of white paint to blend your colors together. This will come up in just a second here. I'm filling these in, as I said, kind of easy peasy. Putting some pink in for my bunny, and I think I'm going to use some nice bright blue for my kind of chunkier 3D letters. But then what I'm going to do, once I've got my colors down, is I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of just pure white paint to blend my colors together. There it is. I'm blending that blue into that green and that green into that blue. That'll create a cool gradient effect when I do peel the sticker off at the end. Can't forget those flowers. So, let's zoom in here. We got ourselves a dry board. I've skipped some time on you guys. See? No paint on my fingers aside from the paint that was already on there. The move here, once you're ready, once your board is totally dry, is you can go ahead and just rip that entire stencil off. Again, you're just picking any old corner you so choose, and you're just tearing that stencil off your board. You can see me kind of doing that in that bottom right corner right there. The stencil itself is just basically trash at this point. You can crumple it up and throw it away, so don't worry about making sure it's, you know, one big clean peel, as satisfying as that might be. You can see me struggling a little bit with that as we go along here, but again, who's perfect? Not me. There we go, we're speeding things up, getting things done, ripping that stencil off like it doesn't matter, because it truly doesn't, and then coming back in with a tool of some type. I'm using this kind of pokey tool thing, but you guys are welcome to use, as I outlined earlier, a mechanical pencil, an X-Acto knife, a screwdriver head. Again, you can use a lot of different things for this, this tool, but again, you're just peeling all the little bits off one by one. Don't forget the insides of those letters. Don't forget the bunny's glasses and his whiskers. Don't forget even the little missing chunks that you might have between letters, like you can see between, yeah, the little bit of green I just peeled off between to the and hip. Okay, as you can see here too, there is a little bit of bleed happening on that blue where it says hip and hop. Part of that is just the paint itself spreading. If you do encounter a little bit of that spread happening, it's pretty simple to go back in, a little bit of white paint or whatever color you were using for your board, and just kind of do some touch-ups at the end. I'll leave mine as is because I like that grungy look, but again, pretty simple fix at the end of the day. Alright, making our way up to the very top of the painting, huh? We're really starting to come along here. And there it is, folks. A finished wood sign. Love it. You love to see it, don't you? Looks so good, you could put it up in your bathroom, hang it for something, who's to say. That's everything we got for you folks. Thank you so much for painting along with me. Thanks for supporting Splash Studio and the Bars and Recreation Network. You're supporting a small Wisconsin business, and we do truly appreciate it. Stay safe out there, folks. Take care, and have a happy spring.